Well, is India prepared? Is it a wise decision that we've reopened travel with the UK at a time when the London mayor is saying that 1 in 30 Londoners has COVID-19? He's tweeted to say this is an emergency situation. Let's take some of these questions. We have Dr. Shahid Jameel joining us. He's a very senior virologist. We also have Dr. Yatin Mehta, who is the chairman of the critical care unit at Medanta. I want to begin by asking you, Dr. Jameel, is it a good idea for India to have reopened travel with the UK at a time when the UK is in a desperate situation?
Well, you know, flight bans only serve a temporary purpose. Flight bans are never going to last long enough before they start hurting other things. I think what is critical is to have a really good plan in place to test and track. That's more important than, you know, I mean, how long are you going to keep the ban on? I mean, this UK outbreak is not going to go away pretty soon. I was just on in another meeting where I heard that the UK peak is supposed to come sometime in mid-February. So are we going to keep flights suspended for all that time? It will hurt other parts of the economy and other things.
You say a very...
So I think locally, it's very...
Right.
Locally for us, it's very important that we have a really good testing plan in place. If it takes 2 days, 3 days to get your RT-PCR test back, that's not acceptable. You know, it needs to be at the airport and it needs to be done quickly. That is what we should focus on rather than worrying whether flight should come or flight should not come.
In your expert opinion, Dr. Jameel, then I want to ask you, do you believe that enough is being done on the ground? There is an RT-PCR that has been mandated for all UK passengers. There's now mandatory institutional quarantine for 7 days as well. But do we know whether they're being tested after? Is enough being done to already track the contacts of those who've landed from the UK? Do you believe that the groundwork that's been laid is enough?
Well, I honestly can't answer that because I don't have access to what the government is doing. But from what I read in the media, from what I see in the media, apparently not enough is being done and there's much room for improvement. 7-day institutional quarantine, whether you are positive or negative, makes no sense. I think it's very important that we double check so that make sure that people don't get lost to the system. I understand that people have given wrong addresses and they can't be traced. So those things we need to really focus on.
Right.
But just keeping even negative people in isolation, what purpose does it serve? I don't understand that.
All right. So questions over whether we are really doing enough and what really is the rationale behind some of those decisions. Dr. Mehta, how worried are you? You head the critical care division at Medanta. You've seen, the country at its peak. Our cases are falling. The COVID situation in India has improved dramatically. Do you believe that this decision, therefore, is wise?
No, decision, I mean, to open the flights or decision to put them in quarantine?
Both. Are the decisions that are being taken to resume travel and the kind of SOPs that have been put on the ground, do you agree with both these decisions?
So, see, Dr. Jameel was partly right that you cannot defer it forever, but this sort of a thing that even if you have a negative RT-PCR from UK, on arrival you test it again, and despite being negative, you put them in 1 week quarantine in the institution, 1 week at home, which is not correct. Why do you need to test it again? It's only increasing congestion at the airport, and you're seeing how discomforted the families and the small children are. So there's no need to do that if you're going to put them anywhere in institutional quarantine. And also, this is not correct that once the flight is taken off, then you make the SOPs whether that we are going to do this. I mean, they've not come prepared for this.
Right.
14 days. Most of the people who come for a trip, short trip, get 14 days leave. So they will use the leave in quarantine and then go back to UK. It doesn't make any sense to me like this. We should have informed them beforehand if we had to do this.
Right. Dr. Jameel, you've also said the same thing, that this 7-day institutional quarantine, 7-day home quarantine rule doesn't really make sense. What then should we be doing? If at all we are going to continue, to reopen travel to the UK, if the flight ban that's been lifted stays this way, what do you recommend that the policy should be, given the fact that the UK strains already caused havoc, in the UK? We're seeing the kind of tweets that have been put out there by the London mayor.
Well, firstly, the UK strain is no longer restricted to UK. The UK strain has gone all over the world, and the UK strain is already in India. So people in India are spreading it as well. So what if somebody from UK goes to Dubai and arrives from Dubai? What will you do to them? I think what is more important is to increase testing at the airport, and the turnaround time at the airport needs to be fast. We need to make sure that people who are arriving are treated well, and people at the airport know what to do. My understanding of the situation is that things are chaotic at the airport, and people who are there just don't know what to do.
And the situation at the airport could also be dangerous. The airports could potentially become super spreaders, given the kind of visuals that we've been seeing on our screens. Dr. Mehta, very last question to you. Are we prepared? Are we prepared in terms of our infrastructure to be able to deal with the kind of situation that the UK, for instance, is dealing with? And I know Dr. Jameel said that there's UK strains everywhere, including here in India. Are we prepared to deal with these eventualities?
See, we are prepared in the sense that we do have enough ICU and hospital beds now for COVID patients available. But we do not have isolation beds for this UK strain. We have not created it, although the government has suggested that, but it's not there. So if suppose, hypothetically, the UK strain spreads widely like wildfire, then we do not have the infrastructure to cope with it.
Right.
So far we are doing so well.
And will our vaccine be effective against the UK strain?
Your guess, Rishika, is as good as mine. Nobody knows. It's all hypothetical and conjectural. So at the moment, we do not know whether these vaccines are going to be effective against the UK strain or not. And anyway, the vaccination is going to start next week or so. It becomes effective only after 6 weeks.
Well,
after 2 weeks of the second
dose. Dr. Jameel, do you want to quickly comment on the vaccine?
Yeah, let me quickly comment that there is also no evidence that the vaccine won't work on UK strains. And in fact, there is some preliminary evidence which is not published yet, which is out there, which suggests that the vaccines that are currently being made will work on the UK strain as well.
All right. So as far as the vaccine is concerned, it's a wait and watch. As far as the new UK strain and our policy is concerned, more questions and answers at the moment. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us with your expert opinion.